Marquise, the film looks at post-apartheid through artists, and you said it's taken like a year and a half to do all the filming. What has this told us about democracy or how the country has moved forward in the last 20 years?
Yeah, I believe what we're looking at is the continuous challenges of building that democracy and what it means, particularly for that rainbow generation, those young kids that were around 13 or 14 in 1994. And so there are many challenges that are ahead, but I believe they're facing them.
Now, I've been looking at some of the testimonials on the website, and some of the artists that you've kind of gone to. A guy called Brett Murray, who did a caricature of the South African president, resulted in lawsuits and death threats. This is of Jacob Zuma,
right.
But hasn't stopped him from expressing himself through art. Others have had. Trying to kind of raise awareness about hate crime against different genders and people with different sexual preferences.
Right. You know, what I believe is that artists have to be seen as leaders, and artists have to push it. They have a gift and a craft that allows them to express themselves very differently than, say, normal citizens. And South Africa is no different, and those artists are pushing it because they believe that there has to be something different. We have to change, we have to grow, and the artists there, including Brett Murray and others, are pushing that.
What do you think the film is talking about in terms of like black culture with South Africa? It's moved on. There's been obviously a huge change, but it's still quite conservative.
Yeah, well, from the voice of artists, it's always going to be a bit conservative, and I believe that there's a lot of truth in that. I believe that this ideal around gender-based violence and rape, these are issues that have to be raised, and there are issues that I believe artists have, again, the craft to do that, and they have every right to call out their elders and others who believe that it's going against nation building, and that we need to be concerned around whether it's lesbian behavior or rape, that we can't stand for that. And I believe that those artists are pushing it, and I personally appreciate the fact that they've taken this stand.
It's being shown here in London. How's it been received in South Africa itself?
We've done 3 screenings in South Africa. We did Cape Town, Joburg, and Durban, and it's been positively received. Of course, we've had questions around certain subjects and topics that have been very sensitive, in regards to President Zuma, and I understand that. We didn't create this film to answer questions as much as to continue to ask more questions, and so I believe we fulfilled that.
South Africa is synonymous with many of the phrases that Nelson Mandela coined, not least the Rainbow Nation.
Right.
Is that still true of today? Do you think South Africa embodies this very well and channels that ideology very well?
I believe if you walk around and you see just everyday citizens, you go inside of restaurants, you certainly see that. I've been able to walk around and see different races mixing. Now, do they still live in separate quarters, and are they segregated when they go home? Yes. I believe that's still a major challenge. The difference between the cities and the townships, I believe that they can do a lot better job. But do I believe that the young generation, the rainbow generation, are starting to integrate? Yes, and I believe that they're excited about that.
What were some of the difficulties that you faced in bringing the artists together, but also getting this project off the ground?
Honestly, it was one of the smoothest projects we've had. It was just myself and Peter Ringbong, the director, traveling down to South Africa over the course of a year and a half. And because we didn't have a large crew of people walking around, we had good access, and people understood what was going on. We're not the only filmmakers. We're not the only ones that are down there that are interested in South Africa. So I believe that a lot of artists are becoming comfortable with being in front of the camera. So it was a really smooth process, and everyone was really excited. And we made it very collaborative. It wasn't us saying, hey, we need you to do this or that. We really allowed the artists to set their own scene.
Why Shield and Spear? The title doesn't really give much away.
Well, in many ways, because of the name of the painting of President Zuma, the spear, and then the shield, because President Zuma is Zulu. And so we put those two together. And there's a couple of books and other articles that predated the painting that referenced shield and spear. So we did some research on that.
Is there a particular artist that really stands out for you personally in the film that sums up how South Africa has transformed?
You know, the band The Brother Moves On, to me, embodies really where South African. They're a band, but they're just their name called Brother Moves On, meaning that each band member is allowed to come in, and as they're developed, they move on. And so hence the Brother Moves On. And they really represent this new generation of artists and musicians and people who are continuing to travel the world, and that they're not going to be defined by just one singular idea. And so they can continue to move on and develop as they're growing their career.
Okay, you've got 2 screenings. The first is today. Where is it being screened?
Today we'll be at the Dock House at 3:30, and then tomorrow I'm off to Paris at the Le Comptoir General, and that will be at 7 o'clock in Paris.
Okay, lovely. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here.